Hey everyone, welcome to the M365 Pulse. I am back for the first time in like a month, joined by your wonderful regulars of Tom and Tamara. We're going to be going through and talking about all the updates to the roadmap that we're excited about. Spoiler alert, it's tiny this week, so we are excited about a couple of things, but this will not be the longest show ever. Hopefully everyone's enjoying their summer and it's not getting too hot where you are and everything. There is obviously a ton of crazy stuff going on with Microsoft. If you didn't see the announcement this week, Azure AD is no longer a thing. It's gone to the history books. It's now Microsoft Entra ID. I'm kind of okay with the Entra name. I think the ID is stupid. I'm not going to lie. So, just in general, Azure AD doesn't exist anymore. Azure AD Premium 1 and 2 aren't things. It's now Microsoft Entra ID and versions of that. But if you haven't looked at it yet, I was going in and looking at it. This was all announced this week. There's an entirely new GUI and UI specifically based around Entra, related to identity and stuff that you can do. I ultimately think some good things are going to come of it. We're not going to talk about a ton of that today because none of that has hit the roadmap. It's just changes they decided to do, but changes in the air. And we're going to take that thought going into our first section as always, which is in development. And Tom, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to you, my friend.
Okay, so a couple of things that I see on here that are probably worth noting. Microsoft Teams proactive monitoring of meeting quality using real-time telemetry. Um, you may be thinking, hey, this is great. This is awesome. Can't wait to see it. It's premium. So you're probably going to have to pay a whole lot of money if this is important to you. Basically, it's proactive monitoring capability for admins in the Team Admin Center to identify audio, video, and app sharing related quality issues while the meeting is in progress. Admins can define the desired monitoring parameters in the admin center, which they will be notified of for investigations of users with poor meeting quality. This monitoring will be based on real-time meeting quality telemetry available in the admin center. I think that is really cool. It just bums me out that I'm never going to see it because we're probably never going to go premium on Teams licenses because of the cost. The other one I will mention, Microsoft Intune Remote Help for Mac. This means that you'll be able to provide view-only remote assistance for Mac devices. For your help desk and your Mac users, this is probably a really cool thing. Look for it in September, and it's going out worldwide. So those were the two things I was going to mention.
Yeah, the one about the help for Mac users going through Intune. This is a big deal for one reason, and one reason specifically that I want to talk about. I've been helping one of my customers, one of my larger customers. They wanted to fully embrace laptops and deploy that out to their GCC high users and everything that entails. But they are entirely a modern deployment shop. They don't have an on-premise Active Directory. That they do for their company, but for this subsection of their users, they're basically treating this subsection as a completely separate entity from their company that's working
Interesting.
on DoD contracts. So we're doing everything through, I guess, now Microsoft Intra. I would have used to say Azure AD. But your tool set of what you can do gets a little bit more limited when you're fully going into the cloud. And Intune has a lot of pretty cool functionality, but it was missing some core functionality for Mac, specifically some stuff we want to do for Mac. It just couldn't necessarily do as well. And this is one of the key things. We essentially serve the role as basically the IT staff for this subsection of my partner because their core IT staff isn't based in the US, which is a requirement to work on the type of data that they're dealing with. But so that means that like I'll have issues where a user's having a problem and I have to go through and help them. And you can kind of do it through Teams, but being able to have the administrative control that you can go in and view a computer that you administratively have access to on the back end through Intune, way more secure than just someone sending you a random Teams meeting to try to go through and do it. And then on top of that, obviously a little bit more controlled. Actually, super cool and super excited to see this. This was not as big of a deal 5 years ago because the vast majority of organizations out there have an on-premise Active Directory. Because if you were an organization that existed in the 2000s, 2010s, an Active Directory was basically mandatory part of the process of you managing your users and managing devices. It probably wasn't until the last 10 years or so that it even became viable to consider having a cloud only type solution where you can really, embrace remote work and distributed workloads and stuff like that. But with that came the challenges of like, well, you then don't have an Active Directory that you can manage group policies on machines with. So some of that you can do with Intune, but not all of it. And one of the areas that was really lacking versus being on your own network was the idea of giving help to users who needed it in a formalized way. So super happy to see that one. That was the only real thing I cared about. Tamara, was there anything that you cared about in the development section?
There's only one thing: Microsoft Viva lightweight management of manually created topics outside the Viva topic license. So Viva Topics provides a central knowledge base for manually created topics and definitions inside of apps like Viva Engage. Now, these topics don't use Viva Topics, AI, topic cards, and pages, but can be selected to classify conversations and posts in Viva Engage. Now, with this release, Microsoft is providing a way for knowledge admins to edit, create, and delete these simple topics without Viva licensing as a way to make knowledge management more accessible to more users. And that is rolling out to, who's that rolling out to? Let's take a look here.
It was
That's worldwide.
Worldwide multi-tenant.
So that is everybody in the commercial instance.
Just because we don't have too much else to talk about, as you guys are about to find out, I'll give a shout out to one more thing in development. So Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal inside our risk management section, you all have heard me talk about with that intro to about 80 things over the last year.
Yeah.
This is specifically related to Microsoft Defender for Endpoint Alerts. All this means is if you're using Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which is one of the security systems, if you're managing devices in your system, you can actually import some of the indicators of that into the compliance portal and inside risk management. And specifically what some of this is going to do is like let you know if people are installing software that's unapproved or they shouldn't be using or potentially is even malicious. Some of the endpoint manager stuff or Defender for Endpoint does that. And all it's really doing is taking that functionality and putting it in a more consumable way through the Purview Compliance Center.
Great.
All right, cool. So from there, we'll go ahead and move on to rolling out, followed by launch. Spoiler alert, there are 2 items in rolling out and 3 items in launched. So this is not going to be a very large section. Do either of you guys want to talk about either of the ones in rolling out?
Actually, it's funny because both the ones that are in the rolling out were actually also listed up above in development.
Interesting.
Yeah, one
That
was
is
the
true.
one. Tamara, why don't you go ahead and take that first one since you had
Sure.
mentioned that one.
Microsoft Teams breakout rooms, pre-meeting room creation and participant assignment. Now, this is for the Department of Defense. So Microsoft, this is already out in the commercial client, is introducing the capabilities for organizers to perform breakout room configuration and participant assignment before the meeting starts. Now, this does mean that you have to invite individuals into your meeting so that you can actually assign them to the breakout rooms. But this means instead of having everybody watch you create breakout rooms and like click on each individual person you want to put in a breakout room, you can go into the meeting the day before, 2 days before, and create these rooms and add people to them. So it really is going to save a lot of time.
Cool. And the other one that we have out there, Microsoft Teams, express yourself in team meetings on VDI. So while in a Teams meeting on a virtual desktop, you can express yourself using emojis that will appear to all participants to help make team meeting more inclusive, engaging, and fun.
Emojis are coming to VDI is basically what
Yoo-hoo!
this is.
And that is due out this month in July, and it's coming to both the commercial and all the government clouds.
Great.
All right, cool. Moving on to launch, we had 3 items. I know which one I'm going to talk about.
You can talk about them all, my friend.
Yeah,
but
go for it.
Is there any of the other ones you guys want? The only one I really care about is the second one. Is there? Do y'all want to talk about
just
the
hit
first
the
or third
second one and we'll call it good.
Sounds good. So
take it and play us out there, Adam.
You've probably heard these 4 words before: Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal. This is data loss prevention, protect files on remote map networks. network drives. What this basically means is if you have file stores or remote drives mapped to your computer that are not physically in your computer, you're now going to be able to use DLP on those locations if they are discoverable from your computer to try to go in and map and protect stuff the way that you want. Specifically, when you're using DLP, you can use DLP to go in and do stuff like sensitive information labeling and stuff like that. So basically, they're extending the surface area that you can do this to network map drives, which is cool. We'll take the functionality.
Cool.
Great.
And that was maybe the shortest Pulse episode we've ever had. So
awful darn close, that's for sure.
Thank you for joining us. I hope everyone's having a lovely summer. Get excited for the intro changes, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye now.